Hey everyone, Dylan here, and in today's video I will talk about my top 5 favorite elements. So you could think of this as like my top 5 favorite elements in normal life in general, but also I guess you could like base it on anime and video games as well, and what I like the most and what I think is the coolest. So I'll start off with my number 5. My number 5 is wind. So in daily life, wind itself isn't a very crazy thing, right? At best, you could really enjoy it if it's like a nice cool breeze, when it's not too hot, not too cold. That kind of thing can feel really nice. You know, the wind can also be really hot and warm, and that's kind of cool because it has like, you know, temperature properties. But you know, in that kind of thing, that's kind of it for real life. I mean, there are tornadoes and like hurricanes and gale force winds and jet streams and stuff, so that's really cool. But it's really kind of more cooler in anime and stuff in real life because people can blast tornadoes, they can blast like jet stream blasts of wind, they can make the wind blade attacks and stuff like that. So it can be really cool, much more interesting and cooler in anime and video games and stuff like that, and in just fictional stuff, than in real life, because in real life, like, wind is terrifying if it's a tornado and stuff. I don't know, maybe people... let me know if you like watching actual tornadoes or something in real life, if you find them fascinating. I don't know, they're just a little for me, so I don't know. But in general, wind's pretty cool, or air, either way, whatever you want to call it. So that's my number 5. My number 4 is lightning, and so lightning is a pretty cool element in real life. Again, it doesn't really... it doesn't have much of a factor in real life as far as what it is and like what it does, you know, because we have electricity and that powers everything, which is very important, of course. And then otherwise, though, you kind of just have, you know, the lightning strikes, and lightning is primarily blue in the sky, but also I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think red lightning is a real thing, right? Like in real life, like there can be red lightning, so it can be like different colors like that. So it's really cool like that to see it, but also really kind of scary. But I mean, I don't think you're really likely to get struck by lightning. And I don't know what the death rate is. Like, I don't know what chances you have of living, but you do still have a chance, I believe, if you do get struck by lightning. So I don't know what the chances are of survival, but I might look that up later. But yeah. But in actual like anime and fiction and stuff like that, lightning can be really cool with all the attacks. You know, like I said, sometimes in anime it's blue, sometimes it's yellow. Maybe, I don't know if I've ever seen red lightning in an anime, but so it can be kind of cool there, different like electrical strike attacks. So lightning can just be an all-around cool thing. It's fast, it's like powerful, and yeah, so that's why I kind of like lightning a little bit more than wind, because it just has a little bit more to it, like substance-wise. So yeah, so my number 4 is lightning. And then next we get to my number 3, something that is actually kind of more solid, I guess, and that is metal. And I don't know if I would really say I have a specific kind of metal or whatever, but I really do like steel, like steel type stuff. Metal is almost metal to me, but like steel and how it feels, and it feels really cool. But not only that, like different metals can just be, they can be different colors, which is like a unique kind of thing. They can be molded and formed into like so many different structures. They can be very thin and brittle. They can be very strong and thick and dense and powerful, like a freaking hammer or something. Or it can be made into something that can cut things, like a really sharp blade, like a knife, and it just can be formed into like whatever in different utilities just through like heat. And so And just like in general, I actually like I like how metal feels. It can be cool. It's cool to the touch. And I mean, it can be warm too, of course, depending, because it absorbs temperature a little bit, but mainly it's more cooler. And you could as a blind person, there's some things that I like the feel of, and steel and metal is one of them that I just like the feel of it. And so it's so versatile, and this is just in the real world. It's pretty much the same in anime as well for everything that you could do with it. So it's really cool. I really like metal and steel and like all that kind of stuff because of how it can be formed and molded, and it's all usefulness. And even like I said, and it can be different colors, a couple different colors as well. So it's really cool. Really like metal. That is my number 3. Yeah, and it can make swords, and that is cool. So yeah. So my number 2 is water. And water is a very interesting element because it is not like really any of the other elements. You know, you got the elements that are not really, you can't physically hold them, right? Except for steel. Steel or metal is a solid object. But water is not. You can hold water in your hands actually, but it's not like you know, like lightning or wind, where it's just not something you could grab. Really, you can't hold it in your hands. Where water you can, but it's solid, but yet it's solid in its kind of nature, but as a state of matter, it's liquid. So it's really cool like that. It's like wind. Temperature can affect it greatly, depending. You know, you can have it be really cool and like cool you off, like a swimming pool, or it can be really hot and soothing. Or some in a lot of animes they treat water and ice as different elements, and I don't really personally think they're different elements, because ice is just frozen water, so it's still like the element of water than really a separate element. So I kind of count it as one and the same. It's just a change, right? So it's just frozen ice, and then of course you have just really cold water. But then also, if it gets heated up enough, it can turn into steam and evaporate. So it's just really cool, or fog, and water has so many different forms, and it's really cool. And like in anime, this different stuff can be used. The fog can be used, the steam, just water attacks, water pressure attacks, ice attacks, freezing it, just all these different things. And so in anime, it's used even cooler. In some cases, water can be used to heal. In real life, all these different things. The thing about water, though, in real life, I am most afraid of water, like drowning. Because honestly, I don't know how to swim. I tried learning how to swim, I just never could swim. Of course, that wouldn't probably help me now if I somehow was in like a giant body of water or whatever. I wouldn't probably know where to swim to even if I could, but just, you're screwed. If you can't swim and you're in water, you're just going to sink and drown, and you're screwed. You're not going to survive. Once you go underwater, you can't breathe, so you're done for. So that one is where I'm kind of like the most afraid, sort of, and have a fear of drowning and stuff. So yeah, besides that, that's why this is my number 2, because of that fear and my thought process. But otherwise, rain, water is so cool. It has so many uses and so many different changes in form. So water is a really cool element, and just how it can feel nice. Or just like the sound of running water can be nice and relaxing. So water is really cool for all the things you can use it for. And it's just like the water of life, But yeah, that is my number 2. And my number 1 favorite element in like kind of anime and real life kind of, is fire. So fire is really cool. It's hot, and yes, fire can be dangerous, but I'm less worried about burning or being suffocated by the smoke from the fire. Like, I'm not really that worried about it as much as like water and drowning, because you could still survive like being set on fire and all that. Fire, like I said, is really cool. It's depending, like it's used in different places, especially with fireworks. I don't know if you want to count fireworks, but you know, the fireworks can like explode and have fire of different colors, and it's really cool. So that's one application of like fire and like fireworks and making beautiful explosions like that. So that's just one base thing that's really cool. But also the other properties of fire that you can utilize is, you know, you can use it for like relaxation. So say you're inside and you have a fireplace, and you know, I don't know if anyone's been inside a nice heated home from a fireplace, but I have. I was staying the night at a friend's house when I was a teenager, and I'd never like had a fireplace like that that I was around, but it was in the winter time, and it was so cozy. The room, it's weird. It was a different kind of warm. It was a more cozy kind of warm. It was a wood-burning fireplace, and it had the smell of the firewood, and it smelled nice. You just could watch the fire in the fireplace. You hear the crackling of the wood and everything. It just sounded so nice, so warm, so cozy. Just, oh, it's so good. It is so good. And I hope everyone gets to experience that kind of greatness in that kind of way. And also there's the normal, you have a fire outside in a fire pit, and you can watch it, and it's just like kind of like a moth to a flame kind of thing. It's tantalizing just to watch, and it's cool. Like I said, the sound of the fire burning and crackling, and in the middle, in the night, and maybe it's not like too hot, and so it's warm and comforting, and then you hear it like, you know, it's at night and it looks nice, and you have the crickets in the background, and it's all around a nice feel. The fire can kind of have a little bit of different coloring to it, depending, you know, sometimes it can be a little more red. If it gets really hot enough, it can turn blue. So in just real life, fire is really cool. Of course, it's used to cook food, and so it's a nice element to have for useful properties, but just for the relaxing ones is really cool. And then we can go to the anime side, where fire has a bunch of different colors in, you know, blue fire, red fire, black fire, and fire blasts, and it's just really cool in anime. So fire is overall like my favorite element. I think it's the coolest, honestly. If I didn't count like anime world, then you know, water might be my favorite. It's pretty close. Fire's still really cool though, but water might be my number one if I didn't count anime. So, but yeah, that has been my top 5 favorite elements in general, like in the normal world, but also like adding on video games and anime and all that, and fiction. So let me know in the comments down below, what is your favorite elements, and all that. You know, I'm really curious to know about that. Let's talk about it. But yeah, that has been it for me. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for listening. I will see you in the next video.